It must be Thursday. Welcome to Learning Unwrapped, the talk show about your most important life skill, brought to you by International Broadcast Media TV. Thank you to the network for creating this platform where we can talk about learning. So today, we are going to focus on something called the 5-5-5-5 to Thrive. And it's really all about, if you think about school, we've got about 5-6 months left, depending on where you live, to really make this school year count. And so we want to see what kinds of strategies can we use to really make this year count. And we're going to focus today on the White Plains School District in New York. And so we've got three fabulous guests. So let me start getting right to it and bring in my co-host. My co-host is an instructional strategy specialist at IDE Corp. And she's done a lot of work obviously, she's had a career in teaching and also in digital instruction and designing digital instructional platforms. So I think when we went remote, no one could have been happier than Sabrina Brunfield.
Hi, Nancy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being my co-host.
Yeah.
I love your background.
Thank you.
So tell me about something you learned this week.
So something that I learned this week, well, just a little bit of background information first. Obviously, 2020 was filled with lots of different things, but with that, I wanted kind of some new beginnings, some new traditions, and one of my new traditions was to put up my very first real Christmas tree. So I was really happy about that. And then 2 nights ago, I decided, okay, it's time. We're in the new year. I got to take off all the ornaments and the lights and all that good stuff. So, I'm just going to take them off. So I start peeling them off. I start taking off the lights. Yeah, I learned it's a really good idea. Nobody told me this, to put down a sheet or a tarp or something, because every ornament I took off, like all the pine needles just popped off. And then by the end of it, because at that point I was just like, whatever, I'll just make a mess in my living room. Savannah, my 5-year-old daughter, was literally on the floor making snow angels out of pine needles. So,
That's a lot of pine needles.
Yeah, I'm just going to put down a sheet and make sure.
I think what you really learned is you need to water it more.
Well, I watered it all the time, but still, every time I took an ornament, because, I didn't carefully take it off. I just, yanked them off, and every one of them just came off with it. It looked really sad at the end, but at least
my Christmas tree.
Exactly.
So I'm going to put you on the spot with a question I didn't think to ask before, but you are one of the consultants on the team that works with the White Plains School District. If you could give me one adjective for the teachers in the White Plains School District, what would it be?
Dedicated. I mean, they really, really are dedicated. They put in so much time, so much effort to just ensure that their students are happy and excited to be where they are in kind of these crazy times.
That's awesome. Well, then we obviously, as you know, because you know these guests very well, we're going to bring in 3 representatives of the district. The first is a woman who is the coordinator of mathematics K-12, but she also supports the STEM program and the enrichment program at the elementary school. Please welcome Kathy Barpoulis.
Hi, Nancy, and so great to be here. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi there, Kathy.
It's so good to see. Sabrina's really been wonderful, and I'm K-6. I also have a partner in mathematics, Albert Laporte. And something that I learned this week, I've been reading this book. It's called Catalyzing Change in Early Childhood Mathematics and also Elementary Mathematics. And what was really important to me that I started to learn were new ways to really help students to develop positive identities in mathematics. And as I was reading through, it really resonated with a lot of what we've been doing with IDE. Student agency and this positive identity in math really go hand in hand. And they make a number of recommendations in the book. And one that really stands out to me is implementing equitable practices in math and nurturing those positive identities.
That's awesome. We will have a program on learning math. So we want to focus on that. I've often had this discussion, and this will be much longer than today, so we'll have to have it another time, Kathy. But the way I'm a big brain development freak, so that's what I research. And the way we have brain development, it turns out that little girls are developing the first part of their brain that develops has more to do with language, the humanities, and boys tend to develop the part of the brain that has them taking things apart in the science and math. So when you get to like preschool and kindergarten, the boys are kind of rocking the science and the math and the STEM type things, and the girls are rocking reading. But what happens is the girls start to think they're not good at math. The boys start to think they're not good at ELA. And I often said, what if we just started kids and in kindergarten, let the girls really rock reading and not really focus a lot on math? I mean, they can if they want to, but not put a lot of pressure on them, and do the opposite for boys. And then by age 8, everything kind of comes together in the brain, like the brain develops all those sides. And then we would focus on teaching more math, science to the girls and more language arts to the boys. I often wonder if that'd make a difference. I'm going to leave us ponder that one and bring in the next guest. So we have with us a woman that I met when we actually had been working in the district on designing learner active classrooms, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But then we had the pleasure of working with a superintendent, I should say, a new assistant superintendent who was new to the White Plains district, but not new to the position of assistant superintendent. She's kind of, I like to call her a career assistant superintendent. She's got a lot of experience there. Well, I shouldn't say too much. She's not that old. So please welcome Dr. Debbie Hand.
Hi, Nancy. Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for having me today. This is a great opportunity. Oh, thank you.
It's great. You look like you read a lot.
I do. Maybe not every single one of these books, but through time, probably yes. And there are definitely historical books on that shelf that I just can't get rid of. I'm just like, I can't get rid of that. That was my first literacy book that I really, made a difference in my classroom. So, we're happy to share some of the work of White Plains today, and thank you for your support.
Awesome.
Yeah. Debbie, tell us something that you've learned this week.
Well, it's hard to believe because it's only Thursday, but this was the week back from the holiday break. And thank you, Sabrina, for sharing your story. I think I learned by having the ability to take a few days off and, reconnect with my own house and reconnect with my own family. I have children that live a few thousand miles away. So, that's a little bit challenging. But I think it really did make me realize, which is sometimes hard for me, that how important it is to take care of yourself. So, of course, I came into this week saying that I was going to sleep more, I was going to eat better, do all these important things of self-care. And I think I did well until last night. I don't think I got as much sleep as I wish that I would have gotten last night for various reasons. But I just want to hold on to that. I want to hold on to taking care of myself.
Self-care.
And then I also wanted to share that we had a meeting with the science department. A few teachers from the science department shared with a few of our board members. We have a subcommittee, curriculum instruction committee meeting on Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. And not only are our teachers dedicated, but they are so innovative and so creative. They really came and showed how intricate it is to teach and make this shift to teaching in a hybrid learning environment. And I think that tangible sense of having teachers presented to the board members really made their work come alive. And when we're talking about how much collaborative planning time we need, or how videos can be used in very productive ways in a hybrid learning environment, they were able to illustrate that. So I was excited about that. So those are some of the things that I've learned.
That is awesome. I know there's a lot of good things going on at White Plains. I mean, I've been in Florida since February, so I'm kind of hunkered down here. I haven't been north, but next year, perhaps when we all get back to school, I have to get over to White Plains because Sabrina and her colleagues who work there just keep telling me about all the fabulous things that are going on there. So kudos to you guys for making it happen. All right, let me bring in your last colleague that we have for us today. I actually met Michelle Eiffel Rosso. I always call her Michelle. So Michelle Eiffel Rosso, back when, I don't know, it was years ago. I almost want to say decades ago. I remember being in a restaurant with her and we were talking about something. But anyway, she has been serving the students of White Plains for about the past 16 years, and she is currently, she's had a lot of different roles in the district, but she's currently a health teacher and the district technology trainer. Please welcome Michelle Rosso.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dr. Sulla. And
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
I am fine. Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Yes, likewise. Yes.
So tell us, Michelle, share with us, what have you learned this week?
One fact that I was reminded of this week is that love really matters, right? Love is kindness. Love is patience. Love is integrity. And how we treat others matters too. So when we think of treating someone badly, before we think of treating someone badly, we have to think of him or her as ourselves, as in looking into the mirror. And we should be reminded of the golden rule. How do we want to treat others the way we ought to be treated? So I think love really matters and love is important. I was reminded of that yesterday.
That's a wonderful thing.
It's true. Yeah.
We so many lessons to learn throughout 2020. How many of you are thrilled that we're in 2021 now? And we've got our audiences putting up what they've been learning. And actually, you have someone, Sabrina, up here that put, embrace the needles. You'll be finding them in July.
Oh, I have already found them in my clothes. So
It's true. So we've got lots of things that our directors will put up some of the comments about what everyone is learning about. And I want to talk a little bit about, to set the stage for this topic, which a lot of the topics we talk about are topics that are widely known. But 5555 to thrive is like, what? What's that? And so it really originated with me. I have been the designer of the Learner Active Technology Infused Classroom, and we were working in White Plains with a cohort of teachers that had been really rethinking instruction. And when we shifted over to remote, I realized that a lot of the structures and strategies of LATIC worked because we're all about engagement, empowerment, and efficacy. And I talk about LATIC in my book, Students Taking Charge. But then I thought, well, how can we provide strategies that like everybody can use to thrive for these remaining 5-6 months of the school year? And I call it the 5555 to thrive. And there is a video that I have up on YouTube. And so the directors, after we see some comments, they'll put the URL up there so that you can go off and take a look at it. But I want to focus a little bit more. So Carrie, if you can bring back the 55555 to thrive picture, it's all about 5 types of PBL. I call it the 5 Ps of PBL. And essentially, how do we engage kids? We engage them by letting them solve real world problems. And my favorite one is at the bottom, pursuit-based, which is let the kids pick their own problems. And then it's 5 different types of video. You know, a lot of times we think of videos as just the instructional video, but we're saying record that short 1 or 2 minute morning message to just connect with your kids. A benchmark lesson is something where you are introducing a topic, but not so much teaching the content of the topic as much as getting the kids excited about it, like showing them where the connection is. And then directions videos, because especially if they're working remotely, they're on their own out there, obviously instructional videos, and then teachers' insight. So those are all the different kinds of videos that we can have available. The next 5 would be the instructional activities. So what do we have students doing? I think we focus a lot on, actually, we tend to focus in schools a lot on practice activities because we presume that the learning took place through a teacher's lesson. But I'm trying to shift people into thinking that learning can also take place through a particular activity, which could be a video, it could be reading a how-to sheet, that there are ways to learn, but then we need all these other type of instructional activities as well. And then finally, what do we do when we are synchronously online with the students? How do we engage with them? Again, I think that the tendency is to teach a lesson. Like I have the kids online, let me teach. And that is one. I recommend not teaching online to whole groups, but to move more towards smaller group lessons. But then also there are a variety of other ways, and including in this remote world, when we don't have students with us, the way we assess is a lot through the facilitation part. And then when students need help, we need to be able to synchronously engage. So that's the 5 to thrive that we just really started defining this fall. So for the teachers in White Plains, this is a new content, if you will, that is coming in on top of the Laddie content. So let's just talk about that. Like, as you think about 5 to thrive, all those pieces, Michelle, maybe you want to talk a little bit about, from your classroom perspective, you know, what's one of the structures that you're using with your students?
Okay. The instructional activities, the variety, I do believe in choice and allowing students the process. Reflection is important. As the subject of health education, it's a life skill. So self-assessment is so important. Having them understand how does it matter? How does this content really is going to help me? And how can I improve? So certainly the reflection and the assessments I use a lot. The practice is important. They're going to learn new information and they have to practice and apply it. Mm-hmm. So the instructional activities, a variety of instructional activities are key, whether it's through the use of an activity list and sometimes in different ways, the activity list is presented. That has really been a lifeline for my students.
Mm. Anyone else on activity lists? Are you seeing that a lot, Kathy?
Yes. Actually, what I have seen is through the assessment, using some online assessments, such as AMP in Schoology in grade 6. And what that's really done is it's helped all of the teachers look at the data together and then use that, because it's in real time. They're able to then inform their instruction with that data and also give feedback to students right away. So that immediate feedback has been so important for students. Mm. Also using online formative assessments in K through 5 math. So that's really helped to inform instruction, move it forward, and also in differentiating for our learners. So we're finding assessment, also using Screencastify to record and show those videos, and a reflection piece at Eastview. We've also incorporated some different writing, and also through Padlet and the Schoology space, so that students can also reflect on the lesson and give their feedback. So it's been really powerful.
And it's really about when you have those activities and activity lists, you're really building up empowerment. So now I'm going to go over to Debbie and say, here you are, the assistant superintendent for this big district. And maybe you could even give a little bit of a background of the district so people know what size it, you know, how large it is, and talk a little bit about how do you shift over when the pandemic hit? How do you shift over to people kind of teaching remotely to still build that level of student empowerment?
We have 7,200 students approximately. We're a K through 12 school district with 5 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 1 high school, and 1 alternative high school. So we have, you know, it's a fairly large district, especially for our region. It's a city district. I think when, when March hit and we realized that we were going to be closed for an extended amount of time, I think originally we thought we were only going to be closed for a couple of weeks. And, you know, knowing then that we were
all say like, oh, it'll be over soon.
Yeah.
Right.
And, then recognizing that it was going to be a little bit longer, I think we just all banded together and we really put a lot of professional development in place. And I can't thank IDE enough for really helping us do that. We took a mini approach to professional development, knowing that teachers really didn't have a lot of time to prepare what they needed to do, but to get ready for this. So we did like 90-minute sessions, 60-minute sessions, right, Sabrina? And just gave them every single tool that we thought that would be useful for them, and really built the capacity that way. We had about 550 different professional development opportunities for them, with in-district, IDE as our consultants, BOCES, all working together and coordinating that. Mm-hmm. I think that gave us a good, we also had a background in technology before this to a certain degree, but that gave us a good start on things. And then in the summer, we put together a hybrid learning opportunity for our teachers, a 4-day course, if you will, and got very good feedback from that. And that actually sprang from something that Sabrina had done at one of our middle schools. So, you know, I think it was just like really looking at it in a systemic way and, you know, giving everybody the tools that they needed to feel successful. And then when we came back for superintendent's conference days, we also worked with you once again and put together a series of sessions so that every single teacher and every single TA had an opportunity to learn a basic understanding of what a hybrid learning environment would look like. And then we included professional development on an SEL lens as well. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on. I know, Sabrina, you love working in the district. So, you know, give somebody a shout out. Like, what do you see?
Absolutely. I mean,
it's going to be bad. I'm putting you on the spot because, you know, well, then when you get to the school, they're going to be like, why didn't you shout me out? How many teachers was it, Debbie?
It's all of our teachers, all of our administrators, all of our curriculum coordinators have
But I
done
mean, how many in numbers? How many is that?
How many teachers do we have? We have 650 teachers.
Right.
And
So it's too much, Sabrina. You can't get to all of them.
I can't, but I have to say, I mean, we have done a lot of work within White Plains over the last, you know, at least this past year, you know, when the shift happened. We've been in the district for years, but I have to say, when that shift really occurred, there were so many teachers who were just thirsty. They wanted to attend those workshops. They wanted to really see their students be successful in something that they had never done before. You know, Kathy had just mentioned too, formatively assessing the students and using all these interactive tools, and technology is big in the district. And, you know, I have to say there's both veteran teachers and also new teachers. And so just to give a couple shout outs, you know, we have Aura Zalea, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. She is so passionate. She is a reading and ENL teacher at Post Road. She is really doing
Shout out to Aura.
She's doing so much, and honestly, I would love to be a student in her class. She is using tech tools like Nearpod and PlayPosit and creating really great activities, instructional activities for the students so that they have that they feel empowered. They want to be able to make a difference. And so she tries to make everything relatable for them. Does it really have that impact that she's looking for? And so, you know, shout out to her. And also to, you know, the newbies, John Masha. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not butchering their last names.
Shout out to John.
Yes. You know, signing up for coaching through the virtual support center every month and learning new tools and new strategies and structures to implement into his classroom. And honestly, there are so many teachers that we're working with, but really kudos to all of the teachers that are putting in the effort to make it, you know, a year to remember.
Yes.
And in a good way, not the kind that we're, you know, hoping to forget.
The good parts. Well, and I see we've got we have a Ahava who's actually watching in Israel, which means that it's about like 12:30, 1 a.m. over there. Wow. But she tends to join us, which so it's great to see you, Ahava. And she's saying students are empowered to learn when they have a say in what and how they learn. Anybody have a story you want to share about that, what you're doing in White Plains where kids have choice and voice?
Yes. I would certainly share in one of the project-based assignments I give students is a passion project. They can choose to work on a passion that's really going to help them. And one of my students, her passion was piano. And she did daily reflections. And this was something they did outside on their own. And they have to do daily logs and practice. And she wanted to improve a piece. And in her reflection on the project, she said that she wanted to teach kids how to play the piano. And I was able to allow her to connect with 3 kids. And now she's teaching them virtually and she's getting paid for it. So it was really meaningful. It was an authentic project that now has extended. She's fulfilling her goal and her dream of teaching students how to play piano.
So now she's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Future show topic. That's fabulous. And that goes back to the 5 Ps of PBL, pursuit-based learning. Let students follow something, pursue something that's of interest to them. So now I'm going to switch us over then to the PBL side, because we actually did have another comment from Holly that said students are empowered to learn when they have a problem to solve, and that produces a need for learning. So I know that in White Plains you're using problem-based learning. So who wants to share first? Go ahead, Kath.
I'll share. At Eastview last spring, we had a collaboration that was taking place with the visual reasoning enrichment teacher, grade 6, and also one of our math teachers in grade 6. And basically what they did was, it was in collaboration with the Liberty Science Center. And so they set up distance learning so that the students had the opportunity to discuss with educators at the Science Center as they designed a structure that they would put into the community. And so basically they used a CAD design program. They first planned their structure, they discussed it, they collaborated, they actually created their structure using this 3D design software. And it also followed constraints. They had a lot to think about during this problem solving. So at the end, they all gave a presentation, and you could really see how proud the students were with all the work. And it was their choice too. They were able to choose what to build within these constraints. So this coming year, we're planning to expand, because that went really well. And now they did work over the summer with also the visual reasoning teacher in K through 5. So now there's a collaboration. And again, we're going to look to how to collaborate with the Science Center. So we're looking forward to that.
Nice. Another story? My 7-year-old was struggling with telling time. He's a big kinesthetic learner. We put a clock on a basketball court and connected it to running plays. Now he's a pro. There you go.
That's great.
We've got a problem-based story from the audience. Thank you, Holly. I think problems are so important. And what I'm trying to move toward now is, as we have teachers using more problems students are solving a real world problem, so they get excited about it. And I remember, I tell this story often because it so excites me that, you guys had in Westchester a snowstorm, and the kids were asking their teachers, well, are you going to be online tomorrow? Because I'm going to need some help, and I just want to see if you're available. So it's like the end of the snow day, because now that kids are online, they can have access. And if they're solving real world problems, they're so into it that they don't, they want to keep going. And I think that is so critical, that I think that the next move is going to be toward, and this is probably going to be a big lift for districts, but I think they need to start in the next round of curriculum cycles, designing more problem-based curricula. Like design the curriculum to be less about teacher lessons and more about what students will do. What do you think of that, Debbie? Is that going to be a habit for districts?
I think that you're right on with that. I think that, in terms of the content and the way that we're teaching content, and sometimes the way we see content, the way that the state assesses content really doesn't lead us or makes it a little bit more challenging to present it in a project-based learning environment. Doesn't make it impossible, but sometimes the teachers, I think, feel that as a constraint. So that would be, a perfect world moving forward, so that you did have that felt need, and that the students were working on something that was meaningful to them. And they're going to learn in the environment that they find it purposeful, right? So if you're trying to teach it how to read a clock and your child loves to play basketball, that was a great, genius idea of how to put that forward. So.
Yeah, and now you obviously are immersed in curriculum over your years as assistant superintendents, and obviously in charge of curriculum. And don't you feel like curriculum is really written for teacher lessons? Like it almost presumes teachers will be giving lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that teachers are used to that too, right? I think that there's like a little bit of a dissonance there, that's where the professional development and the support come in. And also the ability to be a little bit of a risk taker, to see it a little bit differently. But yes, we're designing lessons so that you're presenting lessons through a unit, or you're getting through that unit through a certain amount of time within the school year. And just seeing the interconnectedness of the different content areas, I think, is very important. You know, when I say that, I think particularly at the elementary school, there's never enough time in a school day. But there's never enough time in a school day because we sometimes see these little buckets of classes and subject areas, and you don't see that integration. So that, you know, that's really where I would like to move forward and see science and social studies as not separate and different than ELA, but you read, you write. Those are the things that you do when you're a scientist or when you're a historian. So it all comes into play. And I know Kathy and I talk about this all the time.
Well, and that's why, like, Finland is eliminating subjects per se, not that the students won't learn it, but they're trying to make it a much more integrated, you know, problem-based approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Kathy, you'll be happy to know I was a math teacher. And when I was teaching the students who couldn't, you know, who aren't really learning math, but I switched over to problem-based learning. And while I couldn't always track exactly what they might be getting out of certain experiences, they were getting everything they needed and more. And that's, you know, I think I've told the story on the show before where my principal said, you know, your math students outpaced the regular ed kids in percentages. How did you teach percentages? And I said to him, I didn't get to that chapter. So, I mean, they learned everything about percentages without it being the focus of my lesson. And I think that's powerful.
Yes. Yes.
So, Sabrina, did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, I was just going to agree in that when it is meaningful, everything falls into place. The students are more excited about it. They are more motivated to push their learning further if they feel like what they are doing is having an impact on their lives or the lives of others. And so, you know, I think that it's a great way to move forward. And writing curriculum, I know that someone had just put in the I think it was Lauren, you know, I wish that more teachers knew how to write curriculum in a sense, right? Because it can help them to see that the lessons don't have to be like in those buckets that, you know, Debbie was just speaking of. It really needs to be much more integrated, and it would help to motivate the students more.
Yeah, and I never understand why teaching has become this, you know, I mean, it really comes from philosophers a million years ago, delivering the content. So it's about the lesson, and it's sitting and listening to the teacher present the lesson. And then with the factory model, we got to, factory, we can make it efficient. We're going to put kids like in rows, or, you know, this is your math class, this is your social studies class. You'll come here and we'll fill you up with math. Then we'll fill you up with social studies. Then we'll and all, again, everything is about this information going out to students rather than really just tapping into what your 2, 3, 4-year-olds could tell you, which is just give me a world and like I'll dive into it. So I feel like we have to reboot. And that's my next question for all of you is like, what opportunities have you found? What little golden nugget opportunities have you found through this pandemic? I mean, I know when the pandemic hit, like it was like there was just a lot of like, but I bet as you think about trying to shift what the focus of instruction is or how to teach, what have been some of the, you know, the golden nuggets, opportunities? Michelle.
So there are a few golden nuggets. I think the first is collaboration, that even in the pandemic, students still need opportunities to collaborate, to pair up, to discuss, to digest, and creating, using the Zoom platform or whatever platform you're using, allowing kids to work together, to brainstorm together. Has been a golden nugget for kids, so they can continue to build their social skills, that they can continue to learn and grow and celebrate their own learning. Another golden nugget is really the importance of life skills, that we can teach skills through our content. And that's the essence, because everything as an educator we're teaching, that content can be found online. So how are we going to allow kids to curate, to create and share and relearn and find the importance has been a really key. So teaching those skills through the content has been something that resonated as a golden nugget. and allowing kids to learn and relearn how to learn. I think is very important. And we have to give them that opportunity. What does this information we're presenting mean to you? What are you going to be able to do with it? What can you do with it? And giving them that opportunity to really think and grow and develop, because we really want to create lifelong learners and really skilled individuals
Yes.
who can really make a difference. It's not just giving content. We're facilitating learning in a way that is going to be meaningful to them outside of the classroom walls.
And I see Radula Bajaj, who was she was a guest on our show. I see, it's good to see you, Radula. She had made this, the bit about compartmentalizing information, but then, when they have to really go out and interdisciplinary, the world is interdisciplinary. So if you really think about it, much of what we do in our lives is not just one discipline. Much of it is interdisciplinary. Why don't we teach that way? Why can't we get there? Golden nuggets. Kathy.
Yes, so something that I heard from actually across all disciplines was small group instruction. So as we have students engage in breakout rooms with instructors or engage in breakout rooms with other students, we really have that, we're able to have that very deep dialogue and discussion. And as teachers, for example, the music teachers, joining together in a breakout room with students and hearing them play an instrument. And I know that Gary West described to me how powerful that's been for those teachers to get to know those students. And teachers in mathematics, in ELA, having that small group choice. Also, being able to have a collaborative with teachers, collaborating across the district so that teachers are able to just very easily gather together in these collaborative groups. We have Wednesday afternoons set aside, and we have offered some professional learning opportunities, but teachers also are collaborating with their colleagues across the district. Now, in the past, we've had to get in the car, go over to a building, but now it has made it so much easier having these collaboration spaces. And then the choice. I think those activity lists and students having choices, that's really helped engage our students in the learning. And so when they're getting together to solve those non-routine problems that are attached to real life experiences, they have that space. They have the choice of what to work on. And I know we've had different projects. It's called Pick a Project in the elementary level that students are able to choose. And then going back to the activity list, those activity lists can really play an important part. So those are some of the structures I see staying and ones I've heard from my colleagues.
I love how you connected those, though, because that's so important, with the 5-5-5 model. You've got the 5 P's of PBL. So the problem-based learning is meant to get the kids engaged and hook them. And then you have the 5 different types of activities on an activity list. And we actually have, Carrie, our director, can put up a link to it. We have a website. It's free. It's ddal.idecorp.com. And it stands for Designing Differentiated Digital Activity Lists. So anybody who wants to take a stab at this can go onto that website and try it out. The key is that if you're using activity lists without a real world problem to solve, then it's a compliance structure. And even though kids are excited that they get to make choices, that's going to wane. Like once they get used to that, that's like, okay, so I get to make choices. But again, I'm compliantly going down a list. I remember talking to students in one school. We just started working there, designing learner active classrooms. They were 8th graders. So, the top kids in the school, the 8th graders who were too cool for school, they weren't, and this didn't happen in White Plains, of course. But it was fun because, they weren't as open to shifting how they were learning as were the 6th and 7th graders. But I was talking to the 8th graders and I said, like, so what do you like about LATIC? What don't you like? And one student said, well, I really don't like the activity lists and scheduling my time. I mean, what's the point? So I said, well, but, don't you want to have control over? And he said, yeah, I just want to get it done. So I just go down the list and go like up and what that order, no big deal. And then another student said, oh, but in Miss So-and-so's class, you have to schedule your time because her activity list makes you figure out how you want to learn it and who you want to work with. And I was like, bingo, that's the difference. If your activity list is just, here are 10 things you have to get done, and maybe there's a couple of choices here and there, you don't have to think through that. But if your activity list includes, well, you're going to have to work with a pair here and a group here, and then individually, and then there are 4 different ways to learn this. Now the student really has to put some executive function into that, and brain cells into, oh, how am I going to make my choices and effectively craft out, and Michelle used one of my favorite words, curate my day. And so, but if you have a real world problem to solve, then you want to dive into that activity list to figure out ways to learn it. If you just have the problem, but there's no choice and voice, that can almost be just a layer. But if you have the activity list without the problem, so it's kind of like, I always think the 5-5-5 goes together. And that's why I presented it as a set of puzzle pieces. Mm-hmm. Debbie, before we take our station break, if you will, let me ask you, what have you found to be a golden nugget opportunity through this pandemic?
I think that, I agree with everything that Kathy and Michelle said. I think collaboration has been very important for us, and just having technology tools that give us that capability of collaborating across buildings. When you think of 5 elementary schools, and your elementary school teachers are always saying, what's going on in other schools. And we also have 2 middle schools. We have a 6th grade and a 7th and 8th grade. So just having that capability of making those connections, and the fact that technology tools can open up a world of research to children, differentiation, use of breakout rooms, use of small group instruction, use of organizational structures. I mean, it really has, even some of our teachers that were holdbacks on the use of technology have really, put their toes more into the pool, and now they're swimming in that pool, and they really feel very, very successful with what they're doing, and they also see the value of it too. So that's really exciting,
Yeah. And that's, the idea that if you're in a school, one school, when you have multiple schools in the district, you are in your little bit silo, mm-hmm. But this has just opened it up that you can talk to anybody. And then what about also your teachers can be talking to teachers in other districts. They can be meeting with teachers around the world. I mean, we really have an opportunity here to expand the walls of our classroom.
In the pandemic, they haven't had much time to do that. They've been very, very busy, as Michelle could tell you. So
yes.
But maybe these could be some of the things we take into the new year. I like the way you think about it. Well, I love our conversation. I want to take a short station break here to thank International Broadcast Media TV and Gwen Fan, who is behind the scenes there as our director, who is helping out our IDE directors, Carrie and Boyd. And then also Ankit is the senior executive producer, and we've got Nick and Kim are the producers, great people who are putting together this network. And I hope that you'll go and visit IBM TV. It's ibmtv.tv, and see that they have like 70, 80 shows that you could watch. And I found my way here by being a guest on Mark Lee's online dinner party show, which I love. It's on Wednesday nights from 4 to 7. And you just have this 3-hour dinner party. It's a wonderful thing. But when you meet Mark, you'll see Mark could probably do a 10-hour dinner party because he loves people and loves to talk. But now this is our segment of What's in Your Mug. So you'll notice that my mug has a picture of me, which I normally would not buy a mug with a picture of me, but this was given to me as a gift. So that was very exciting because you'll see that it's my show.
Very nice.
It must be Thursday. So that was one of my Christmas gifts, was a mug of the show. And what is in it is a decaf coffee because, I too, for whatever reasons, Michelle, was up way too late last night, and I had to get up at 4 a.m. So I figure that once this show is over, I need to get to bed and go to sleep. But so I couldn't do full caffeine. I am actually drinking decaf. But my favorite decaf, drum roll please, is McDonald's.
Oh.
McDonald's makes the best decaf coffee. So that's what's in my mug. Debbie, what is in your mug?
What's in my mug is I have a mug that is a submarine, a yellow submarine. And I was thinking also a connection to how Michelle opened, because I was thinking today is all you need is love, and all together now.
I love that.
So
Hold
thank
that
you.
up again.
Nice.
The yellow submarine mug. Hold that up to the camera.
You can actually see the beetles in the windows when you have your tea that's hot. The only thing is my tea has kind of cooled down, and I have the name of my tea that I'm using today is Tension Tamer.
That's a good one. You know, before when you were saying that you have children who are thousands of miles away, I was going to say, Debbie, why would a 30-year-old woman have her children thousands of miles away?
Thank you so much.
But once you mentioned the Beatles, you just aged yourself with me.
There you go.
All right, Kathy, what is in your mug?
So what is in my mug first? I'm surrounded by math equations, and what's in it is decaf vanilla chai, which I'm enjoying greatly. I have math symbols because I can't help but think about all the educators in my own life who had such an impact on me. And this goes throughout, K through 12, college, beyond. And so this is really just a shout out to all the teachers out there who have been just working so hard and giving so much of themselves. So cheers to all the teachers, and thank you.
Teachers.
Thank you.
And I see we asked the audience, what is in your mug? And so I noticed, you usually see the typicals. There's some water and there's some teas along the way. And then Dave Ollenbach, I love it. You put Johnny Black and club soda. That's a serious mug. Okay. Who we got? Michelle, did I ask you what was in your mug? Yeah, no. Here we go.
Yes. So before I get into what's in my mug, there is a quote on the cup that I would like to read. It says, "The heart of a father turns to his children." And what's in my cup is water. And water is vitality. Water and the heart of a father or a mother or an individual is love, right? Love is the lifeline to all. So the connection is that water is life. Love is life. We cannot exist without love, right? Love is the glue that connects to everything.
Yeah.
And without water, everything dries up. So that's the connection.
See, Michelle, you've created a new theme for my show now.
Thank you, Chase.
So in order for us to toast, Sabrina, we need to know what's in your mug.
Well, it was a perfect segue to mine because love is life, right? And I'm a super sentimental person. For those of you that know me, I'm sure you can already imagine what's to come. It was my first Mother's Day mug, and it has my daughter's little handprint on it. So I couldn't resist. This is my favorite mug. And
that's a love mug.
Yeah, it just has like a little saying on it, but the best part is like her little hand. I don't know, it just warms my heart. And inside isn't warm, but it's some sweet peach tea. Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Yes.
I guess, guys, as we toast now, the funny thing is because I wait so long before we get to the what's in your mug, we're all like, it's a little cold now. I think we'll go along with what you said, Michelle. Let's toast all those teachers who are out there reinventing instruction.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Here's to you guys. All right, let's get back to our discussion.
All right, so I actually have a question for you guys. Now, I know that we've been talking a lot about empowering students, and I think that ultimately empowering students is about a realization, right? And teachers and students have a lot to learn from each other. And when students can really make a difference in what they've learned, they'll be more motivated, right? We talked about the impact. Mm-hmm. So my question for you is, how have you really motivated the students this year? And kind of, looking into 2021, things are still very different. Students are still working on those life skills, those executive function skills. So either what have you done personally to motivate students, or what would maybe some of your recommendations be? Because I know that some of you are in leadership positions as well.
I would like to share is building class culture. Culture is so important with my kids. Every day they enter, I ask, how are you doing? And they have to share their reaction. So, and just connecting with my students, getting to know them. Even when as a group, how was your day? I asked a variety of different questions. That is part of the engagement. When you're immediately able to engage with them, let them know that you do care. And learning the content is also learning about them and allowing them the space to feel safe and feel comforted and connected. So I think that is an important piece in empowering my students to at least feel that they're a part of the school culture, they're part of the class, and what they're doing is very helpful. Because even when I present the problem, and at first I let them know why we're learning what we're learning and what it means to them. And then they have something to help. How are you going to help the solution? So when they go through the activity list is to help them get to that solution to the problem. But in that process, we have to begin with classroom culture and allowing them to feel comfortable and know that they're cared for and they're valuable. So I think that's an important piece, that even though we're not physically in the building with all the kids, that we still have to keep that environment of culture and engage our kids, and certainly build the different structures that our kids need as well of support. So that's an important piece.
So true. And it's not only we talk about school safety, and part of safety is obviously the physical safety, but just that emotional safety is such an important part of SEL and equity. Like, our brains, when we go into a situation, we immediately start scanning for threats. Like, are we getting threats or are we getting rewards? Is this a tough place or a good place? And if I think I'm in a threatened place, the teacher doesn't believe in me, doesn't like me, whatever, I shut down. My brain actually won't, it's a brain thing. The brain won't actually work. So creating that classroom culture where you're showing your students you care about them, you're giving them the space to talk about how they're doing, et cetera, is so important. Now you can start asking them, so what did you learn this week?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Who else?
Yes.
I think in mathematics, what's been really important is helping, because I work with teachers and I also work very closely with my fellow coordinators. And so together with the coordinators in the very beginning, at the end of the summer, we really worked very closely together to help put together a hybrid model of learning and structures and norms and protocols, and how we were going to work with teachers in our respective buildings and work collaboratively with principals as well. And so the power of that, and we meet weekly. It's really great. We have these structures, so we're able to meet very frequently to review and to update and to share stories with each other. And also teacher efficacy and building that collective teacher efficacy has been really important, especially this year. And so in my position, I've been really trying to make sure when teachers wanted to use Class Kick, as recommended by Albert Laporte, who worked so hard with it, Cecilia De Silva in grade 6, just to make sure they have that collaboration tool to be able to see the students' strategies as well. And also materials.
Was that a shout out you gave? Because,
it was a shout out to Albert and to Cecilia. And also to make sure that our students have the manipulatives they need. How important it is for them to actually have the physical math manipulatives at home. And so I listened and worked closely with the teachers. Also, helping to support our math specialists as they used a Weebly site, as they wanted to put up all kinds of videos on that site, as well as our STEM teachers. So it's a shout out to the math specialists and our STEM teachers and our enrichment teachers too, who I worked shout out, and to Lauren and to Lisa, our enrichment teachers who actually gave professional development. And it's this whole collective efficacy. It was really the beauty of, a challenging time for everyone. So looking forward to working with everyone more.
So Debbie, empowerment.
Empowerment. I saw what David and Lauren wrote in the comments, and I couldn't agree more. I really think that, when you empower your teachers and you make your teachers feel comfortable and supported, I think that is going to, transfer in the classroom and motivate students as well. They really have to take ownership of what they're doing in their classroom. So everything that we've been talking about children right now, I really equate that, in my position, I equate that to how that impacts our teaching staff. Our teachers need choice. They don't have, I don't want teachers to feel like they're in compliance mode. I don't think that gets us where we need to be. It doesn't bring in the level of innovation and creativity and excitement that I want to see in learning. So teachers have to be excited to be learning too. And we're all learning this together. The one thing, just because everybody was giving shout outs, I want to just give out a shout out to our administrators and to our curriculum coordinators. And when I was, yes, definitely big shout outs to them. And when I was explaining how we also navigated through this journey, I did leave out that Sabrina and Nancy and Tanya worked with our administrators, and we have 45 administrators in our district. So we had, professional learning opportunities for our administrators. And then we've also followed up with the curriculum coordinators so that our consultants are working with each of their departments. And that has really made it powerful. So I think by making sure that we really had all levels involved in the work that we were doing.
So important, because you can't, if you're just working with teachers, then when administrators are going in and out of classrooms or remote classrooms or whatever, they don't know what the teachers are doing that's different. What, like, why are they doing that? Whereas when you start to support everybody, and you really are, I mean, I have to give you guys kudos to White Plains, because you really do use us well, and you've got us in all different areas. And yet you also have your own internal people and teacher leaders who are carrying the ball. So it's not all dependent on us. It's like using us to almost, just be a partner in innovation, a partner in coming up with resources, a partner in solving some problems, but that it's quite a fabulous district. So I think we need to give a shout out to White Plains. Shout out to White Plains. And I have to give a shout out to Joe Ricca, the superintendent. I said I'm going to have him on my show, and then I was like, oops, I'm going to have Debbie on first, but we'll get you in
You
here.
don't need him.
But, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Are you watching? Let me ask, a final question, because I can't believe it, but it's already 5:57. When you think about the work that you are doing in trying to shift instruction, and it's not only shifting instruction for the teachers, it's shifting instruction for students, getting them to think about learning differently. What would you say is one takeaway that you think is going to continue when we have the vaccine and people kind of get back to normal? And I keep saying, you don't want to get through the pandemic to get back. You want to be moving through the pandemic and coming up with new ideas so that once the fall hits and you reopen schools, you have changed instruction, that if they ever have to close again, there's no big deal. What would you say is one takeaway that you think will, go with the teachers? Kathy, start with you.
I start with videos and all of those pre-recorded types of videos, from morning message to the benchmark lessons. They have all really held an integral piece. And what's so nice is that students can go back and access those videos anytime, so that if they want, let's say they're absent, they want to see a lesson, what happened that day, or they want to revisit and look at it again. So I think it's also helps support equity. And I'm very excited about continuing that practice. It was great. And thanks to Sabrina for all her help.
Oh, stop building up her ego there. Okay, Michelle.
One is the idea that learning should never stop. It is not just on a piece of paper. It is 24/7, and giving them a variety of opportunities to learn and grow, and find solutions to problems are important skill sets that we should always have.
Okay. And Debbie, what do you think the district is going to take away from this into the new year?
I think that technology as a powerful tool for learning and used the right way is something that, is part of our fabric right now. And I think we're still trying to figure things out. I don't think that we have all the answers. And just before we close, I've seen in the comments again, shout outs to art teachers and music teachers and phys ed teachers, science lab teachers who really had, difficult times because their content is so hands-on. So just thank you to everybody for, for really giving your all. And then finally for our district, we have, we're lucky enough to have Ron Velez and Rocco Verullo, who support us in technology. So, this really was this was such an amazing effort of everybody coming together. So, we talked a little bit about teacher collaboration and administrative collaboration and collaboration with our consultants, like a great consultant like IDE. And we really wouldn't have made it through without, this effort that, banding together and really doing the right thing for our children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And focusing on children, focusing on the students.
Well, I know the consultants always come out of White Plains going like, I had such a great day. So actually, Sabrina, give a shout out to the rest of your colleagues who are on this account with you.
Honestly, I couldn't do it without them. We have Christina Volenkel, Christina Chapman, Jillian White, our amazing consultants.
Yes.
Thank you so much for all of the support. I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, it's a good team we got going there. All right. Well, I can't believe it's 6:01 already. So Debbie, Michelle, Kathy, thank you so much for being my guests and for sharing a little bit, if we could fit into an hour, about all the amazing things that White Plains schools are doing, because I know the kids are benefiting. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Guys, and I'll see you north.
Yes.
And Sabrina, I guess it's the end of our show. So next week we have STEM. We have STEM all day, every day. So we want to really focus on what it is like to have a STEM program that's not just a course, a topic, but like how do you infuse it throughout your school? We got some pretty cool guests that are going to be coming on next week with us. And, when it comes to those videos, and you'll remember this, Sabrina, we were trying, when we were coming up with the different types of videos that teachers can use, and we came up with the morning message, and we said basically every teacher, and it's not only the morning message, if you're at the secondary level, it's the daily message, that you would just record that short 1 minute, 2 minute, hi kids, it's Wednesday, I really enjoyed reading your essays or whatever, just so they have a connection with you wherever they are, whether they're in class or at home. But then we said for the little kids, you really have to make it it's a morning message, because it's a morning meeting, because, usually at kindergarten, first grade, you start you start doing the calendar and you're doing the weather and you're doing all these things. So we had some of our colleagues, and I know Christina Chapman, who works on White Plains, had created a sample morning meeting, and we tested it out on the IDE kids to see, would they engage well with a video of a teacher, knowing that the teacher really isn't there. And there's one, I don't have a clip of this, but I know that one of the young men, when Christina is going, I can't hear you, because she's assuming they weren't going to speak up, and he yells at the screen, and then he looks at his mother and goes, I know it's a video, but he got so into it. So we are going to go out today with the kids of IDE, showing us what it is like to have that morning meeting through video. See you guys next week. Thanks, Sabrina.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Funny.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. First,
Mom, that's my
I'm
new
going to tell you
teacher.
what the weather is like outside for me. 3, 2, and 1. Are you back?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Super exciting. Do you think you got it?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I couldn't hear you very well.
Yes.
Hold on. Do you think you got it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
She's
All
not
right.
hearing me.
So
Tune in next week for STEM or talk about STEM.
For STEM.
Tune in next. Who's STEM?
STEM, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and math.
Oh, I thought that was the new boss or something. Thanks for watching Learning Unwrapped. Tune in next week to talk about STEM. All day, every day.